Well, this morning I spoke to the Deputy First Minister, Huw Irranca-Davies, and I began by asking him whether he believed the poll.
I think there's been a string of polls that shows how tight it is. I think this poll was more surprising than others, but I think it is a reality of where politics in Wales and politics across the UK currently is. So what it clearly shows is that there are three parties now vying for the attention of the electorate, and there's a real battle going on. And on that basis, I, Eluned Morgan, the whole of the Labour family, can take nothing for granted. We are going to have to battle to earn people's votes over the year ahead before the Senate election.
And just to be clear, you do think it's accurate, Hugh, because it's putting you well behind.
No, I don't think we can look at any one poll and say that is the definitive one. But I think what we can say is that there's been a series of polls which show just how close it is between three parties. And I would say, Nick, as well, we take this very, very seriously indeed, because it's not only the issue of Labour, Plaid Cymru and Reform, but Reform being the new one on the block is a genuine threat to progressive politics. I would say this as a classic Labour politician. The idea that we have social justice, that we are on the side of working people, that we do things that invest in public services, that protect our health service and don't look for alternative health insurance models. These are the things that are at stake now because of the rise of Reform. So I think any one poll is one poll, Nick. You know this, you're a journalist of long standing. But what there is a trend that shows there is a real battle on our hands for the life and soul, not just of Welsh Labour, but actually of our values here in Wales, that Welsh way.
And out of interest, where is the greater threat, as you see it, to Labour? Is it from Reform or is it from Plaid?
Well, that's a really fascinating question. We think Reform is a real threat. And I mean this, it's a genuine threat. Because when you scratch under the skin and you say, well, where's the leadership in Reform in Wales? Well, of course it isn't. It isn't the Welsh Party. It has no interest in devolution. It has no interest in Welsh policies. You scratch under the surface and you say, well, where are the policies? They don't exist, except for things such as Farage's well-known approach to things like the NHS and a private insurance base. Well, I have to say, from the country and families that are the birthplace of people like Nye Bevan, that's a real threat. So there's one threat. But of course, in Plaid Cymru, we just saw a real instance when we went through the last budget, which has, through the partnership with UK Labour, delivered a £1.6 billion extra into Welsh health, Welsh local authorities, all the things that matter to people like social care and potholes and so on. Plaid Cymru voted with the Conservatives against that budget. Now that, to me, is also a threat, because what would they do if Plaid Cymru were close to the leaders? They could work with the Conservatives or others, I have to say, and that is a threat as well.
Well, look, I just wonder, with this speech that Eluned Morgan gave this week, whether she's actually caved into Plaid Cymru. Week in, week out, the First Minister's questions, Rhun ap Iorwerth accuses her of not standing up for Wales. And there she has opened up some distance, introduced some criticism to Keir Starmer. What about sorting all this stuff out behind closed doors?
Oh, listen, that's where the heavy lifting goes on. The work between ministers within two governments now is more intense than it's ever been. And look, as you know, I'm a former UK minister, now a Welsh Cabinet minister as well. And when I see government at its very best, regardless of the political colour, it's actually two governments who work in a grown-up way. And they have those differences behind closed doors. But sometimes, just sometimes, Nick, it is right to stand up and say, we have a difference of opinion. And by the way, Eluned has defined this as the classic Welsh way. It's not only Eluned, it's also look at what's happening in Greater Manchester, that huge metropolis with Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham is a proud Labour Party member, UK Labour, as am I. But he also stands up for those people of Manchester. And when he says it's not right on the way that rail investment is working, he says that publicly.
The danger is your fate, whether you like it or not, is inextricably tied in with Keir Starmer. And I just wonder, whether it's really helped you now. You've opened up a divide. You're going to be spending the next year apologising for what Keir Starmer's done. What about a united front, having the courage of your convictions and actually defending really central things he's trying to do, like welfare reform?
Well, can I just say that we haven't opened up a divide. When I said the heavy lifting is done behind the scenes, that's exactly where it happens. We've had major breakthroughs, not just in the budget, but the sort of work, for example, even in my cabinet area, where two governments are now working together on improving the quality of our rivers and water quality, working together on that, working together on regulatory reform of the water industry. There's many examples of that where the heavy lifting is done and so on. But it is right, Nick, it is absolutely right that where there is a difference of opinion, we should be open and honest with each other. And you talk about welfare reform. Elin said very clearly in her speech, this goes both ways. We think there is a way in which we can work with and also give some help to UK government in the way that welfare reform helps. Let me give you a clear example, which Elin had referred to. In Wales at the moment, youth unemployment is half the rate of what it is in England. The reason it's at that rate is because of what we've done with the jobs guarantee and because of the 100,000 young people who are now in apprenticeships that we put into apprenticeships.
Yeah.
We end up with that soft edge of welfare in order to lift people into work.
Okay.
Now, what Nick said in her speech, Nick, was, wouldn't it be good if that Welsh way of doing things could also be applied to adults with disability as well, so we help them into work. Now, there is where devolution works.
Huw Irranca-Davies, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.